Hello Cancer, welcome or welcome back to the channel. I'm Jen with Bohemian Path Tarot and we are doing July readings. As always, these are general readings for a general Cancer audience. Oh wow. So please take what resonates for you and leave the rest for another Cancer or another day. We're using the Unfolding Path Tarot, and then I'm doing just a one card pull from the Lenormand. Ooh, oh, I guess the birds wants to come out. Birds, okay. And of course, I invite you to check out the videos for your sun sign, your rising sign, and your moon sign for the most resonant experience. Sometimes one or the other is more kind of matchy with you, but you know, of course, check out whatever draws you in. Now, starting with the birds in the Lenormand can often mean that a message is on the way. Sometimes, in some circumstances, it can mean that there can be some chatter. Sometimes the message you hear is like online gossip. Sometimes the news is maybe not accurate. It depends on your circumstances. So let's go through the rest of the reading and see what we see. I actually think that this is probably more official news in your case, but it might make you a little nervous. Sometimes the birds can speak to a little bit of like internal nervousness in response to news you hear, because in the first column here we have two major arcana, right? We have the Emperor and the Lovers. Now the Emperor is all about your sort of boss energy, being able to like have your vision, and not in the magician sort of I'm going to vision board my dreams and then make it a reality. The Emperor is a little bit more hardcore. He's does not suffer fools, and I'm just using male pronouns out of habit. It's very yang energy in that there's no punches pulled with this. It's an imperative to have a sort of vision or a project or a career goals often. Sometimes it's hobbies or whatever, but there's a mission with the Emperor to build this vision or this project or to get an end result. And this is paired with the Lovers. Now, we can often think that, let's get the Lovers in focused here. There we go. We can often think that the Lovers is about romantic relationships, and it can be, but the true essence of the Lovers card is really about the choices we make in our commitments, what we commit ourselves to, and how we show up to our commitments. You know, like sometimes when we're on those dating apps and we think we have tons of choices, just even if you're already in a committed relationships, just go with me on this one. So, you know, assume you're a single person and you know, you're looking around at who you could potentially pair up with. You know, sometimes there's the pretty people that aren't so smart, and sometimes there are the smart people that aren't as pretty. Like, how do you choose like who you're going to connect to and who you're going to commit to? Sometimes you're in a moment where you want the pretty for the chemistry, right? Sometimes, you know, you're in a phase in your life where you really want companionship, and you might prioritize somebody who is a good companion or a good money maker or something like that. So, and sometimes you can get all of it. You know, sometimes you can get chemistry and companionship in the same package. It's not like it's always a either or. But my point is, sometimes we have to make choices. It's the same way with jobs. Sometimes we have to choose a job because we like the hours, but not the duties aren't our favorites. Or sometimes we have to have a day job while we're chasing our artistic dreams, and we have to make choices about career ambitions that aren't ideal, right? The lover's card speaks to those sorts of big choices we make in life about that affect who we are, how we show up in our world and how we show up in our commitments. Like if you're that person who's really an artist at heart and has one of those, day jobs where you have to be a receptionist, and maybe you don't love being a receptionist, maybe it can be hard to give it your 100% while you're dreaming of taking pictures, and you're thinking of your next collection and how to get it in I don't know what photographers do with their, you see what I'm saying with that, right? So in any case, this first column is about whatever your mission or your vision is, that goal you have for your life, whatever it is, whether it's a career goal or, planning your wedding or whatever it is, whatever you have that boss energy about, and how it's affecting your other commitments and how you're showing up in life. Now, you may get some news that affects, it affects these commitments. So maybe you get a job that better fits your artistic pursuits, just as one example, right? So in the example where the photographer to be finally gets that dream, whatever it is, where they get their pictures in a thing where they show it to people. I don't know the lingo, but they show their collection and people come look at it and maybe buy their art, right? So maybe and that shifts their connection. The fact that we have these two major arcana, I'm going such a long way around to describe these two very positive and strong cards here for building your vision, for making the right choices, and the good news that follows. Because in the next column, we see the transformation card, right? We all know, any fan of the tarot knows that the death card is transformation. And I always say the death card is like the caterpillar that used to crawl along the ground, and when the time is right, and it's just a timing thing. It's just an internal thing. At some point a caterpillar has to move on, right? So they climb up a twig or a leaf, and they spin their little cocoon or chrysalis, and they become goo for a little bit in their little chrysalis or their cocoon for 2 weeks or whatever it is, and then they bust out of their cocoon and they're no longer a creature of the ground. They're this whole completely different thing, and now they fly and they experience the world in a completely different way. And the world experiences them in a completely different way, right? So we get mid-month, we get this transformation piece. So whatever you've done, whatever your vision was, whatever you're building in the first part that requires you to make choices about your commitments, we see a transformation piece. And the news that comes in, maybe it's a little nerve-wracking but exciting, right? And the Seven of Pentacles here is also a timing piece. It's that nurturing your fields, nurturing your crops until the time is right. And just like with the caterpillar, the caterpillar can't force becoming a butterfly. It happens when the time is right. The Seven of Pentacles is also that piece where, the farmer can't force the seedlings to ripen just by wishing. It's a timing thing. It will grow and it will ripen, and you'll have your harvest when it's time to have your harvest. So your harvest is coming. Now, this final row is interesting because the only sort of, it's not a negative card. There's just a heads up here with the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles is a bit of a stingy card, and it suggests that you yourself may be holding yourself back a bit, or holding something in reserve, as if you're not showing your whole, all your skills or all your worth. So it would be in a kind of scenario where maybe you're not trusting yourself in maybe a job interview situation, or you're not arming yourself with the best tools in an entrepreneurial situation. In some way you're being a little bit stingy. It could also be the sort of thing where, like, you're not completely being vulnerable in a dating situation. Like you might be testing someone, daring someone to get to know you, but you're not showing them yourself, or you're making it really hard for them to get to know you, almost as if you expect, like just in a dating scenario, for example, as if you expect it to fail, so you don't really put any effort into it, and that way you won't be disappointed. That kind of a feeling. The Four of Pentacles is usually a thing where you have a lot to give, you have a lot more to give. So whether it's in a job interview, or a dating situation, or even an established relationship, there's this sort of inherent advice with this card that you could be a little more vulnerable, you could show a little bit more of yourself, or you could invest a little bit more in yourself and see more of the success that you want. So there's that piece. But the final card we have here is so precious. The Six of Cups is really about feeling connected, feeling seen. There's a element of play here. You could be reconnecting with a friend from the past, or your siblings from the past. There could be, a summer vacation, or going to a theme park, or maybe a family reunion or something with this card. It could be a first date, or reuniting with somebody you already had maybe you had a crush on in the past that you didn't give it a full go with. So that's why this is coming up to, remind you, for this to really have a chance, let yourself play, let yourself be vulnerable, let yourself enjoy the moment, let them see the true playful you. Obviously that's not going to reverberate with all cancers, but take that as it resonates for you. But before I sign off, I just want to note that you have 3 major arcana cards here. So that's big stuff. So there is, a shift coming, absolutely highlighted by the Death card, right? But there's something that you're working on, or have been working on, something you want to see. It does tend to affect how you're making commitments, how you're showing up with other people. It's maybe taking longer than you had hoped, but don't let the timing piece fool you into thinking it's not happening. It's just the natural timing piece. So we're coming up to the time of the harvest, but if you're feeling wary, it could just be that chrysalis phase. When you're in the chrysalis, you do have to change forms, right? And that can be painful. The heads up with that is, of course, just honor the vulnerability. But by the end of the month, let yourself have some fun. That's the inherent advice with the Six of Cups. So I hope that's helpful, Cancer. Let me wish a happy birthday to those of you who haven't yet celebrated, a belated happy birthday to those of you who have already enjoyed your day. If this was helpful, please consider giving a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment. In any case, thank you so much for dropping by. Until next time, take good care. Bye for now.